I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out warning, I'd ring out the love between brothers and sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Well, I got a hammer and I got a bell and I got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land, all over this land, all over this land, all over this We're just gonna bash away at some old favorites here as people
Join
come in.
in.
Please come and join us if you like.
This little light of mine. That's good.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the city, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the city, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the city, yes, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. From Vancouver to
All around the world.
all around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine,
should really be walking backwards, you know. That's it, yeah.
Lovely back it is.
Of the harmonies out there. I'd love it if you guys came up and joined us up here. Ruth! Come on, get up here. This weary world has had its fill of words of war on every hill. The time has come for peaceful days and peaceful men of peaceful ways. If I were free, if I were free to speak my mind, I'd tell a tale to all mankind of how the flowers do bloom and fade, of how we fall and how we fade. When all mankind has ceased to fight, I'll raise my head in thanks each night for this wage earth and all it means are golden days and peaceful dreams. If I were free, if I were free to speak my mind, I'd tell a tale to all mankind of how the flowers do bloom and fade, of how we fall and how we fade. One of the high points of my life was going to see Wasn't That a Time at the Hollywood Cinema. Remember on, where is it, 16th and, yeah. And, oh, you can't hear us. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so we go to the Wasn't That a Time. There were two shows, one at 7:30 and one at 9 o'clock. And we went in for the 9 o'clock, but Bob Rosen and I took our instruments, and we played the crowd coming out and the crowd coming in. And this is the stuff we did. It was just so much fun. Wasn't that a time? Yeah. Study war no more. How much more?
Time for one more?
Denis and Teresa, how much time?
One more song?
I'm gonna lay down
My sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I'm studying war no more.
Teresa or Denis, we'll just keep going until you... Oh, we're ready.
You're on.
Welcome. Welcome to the 7th annual Let Peace Be There Memorial wreath-laying ceremony. 7 years. 3 of them have been here. I'm Reverend Lara Cowton, and I'm honored to serve this congregation as the interim minister. And the Vancouver Unitarians are honored to host this very special ceremony. And we do so acknowledging that we're gathering here on the unceded ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam and the Squamish and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. And as we talk about peace today, it is essential to recognize that the people who lived on these lands for thousands of years before us were displaced and harmed by colonial settler policies. Let us remember. And let us build respectful relationship with our Indigenous neighbors, especially as we think about peace today. Canadians recognize Remembrance Day, originally called Armistice Day, on the 11th of November of every year at 11 o'clock in the morning. It marks the end of hostilities during the First World War, and it's an opportunity to recall those who served in our nation's defense. The White Poppies are a more recent initiative for a more broadly focused Remembrance Day in Canada. We want to encourage Canadians to include the civilians in our remembrance, the civilians who now make up more than 90% of casualties in the conflicts around the world. We want to challenge the beliefs and the values and the institutions that make war seem inevitable. And we'd like to urge our governments to promote and fund effective non-military means of dispute resolution. Our opening reading today is a poem by Mary Oliver, reflecting on the very powerful painting by Franz Marc. It's entitled The Tower of Blue Horses, and it is printed on the back of your order of service, both the painting and the poem, if you'd like to follow along as I read it. This reading was actually chosen by one of our members, Hanno Pinder, who will be laying a wreath for us today for child soldiers. Hanno, who I believe is turning 90 next week. Yeah, 91. She lost her only sibling in World War II as he was forced to enter the German army at the age of 16. Hanno has asked that this poem be read in honor of her brother, saying, sometimes it's important to be reminded that such things happen to real, good, and innocent people, and can happen also very close to us. I step into the painting of the 4 blue horses. I'm not even surprised that I can do this. One of the horses walks towards me. His blue nose noses me lightly. I put my arm over his blue mane, not holding on, just commingling. He allows me my pleasure. Franz Marc died a young man shrapnel in his brain. I would rather die than try to explain to the blue horses what war is. They would either faint in horror or simply find it impossible to believe. I do not know how to thank you, Franz Marc. Maybe the world will grow kinder eventually. Maybe the desire to make something beautiful is the piece of gold that is inside each of us. Now all the four horses have come closer, bending their faces towards me as if they have secrets to tell. I don't expect them to speak, and they don't. If being so beautiful isn't enough, what could they possibly say? We're delighted today to share with you not only powerful readings, but wonderful music. We have 3 local musical groups with us, and all of them are longtime supporters of this event. You heard some earlier. Our first group is Fraser Union, and they've been performing together in varying performances since 1983, and it's really a blessing to have them among us again. So here are Roger Holdstock and Kathy Griffiths and Barry Truder of Fraser Union with their first 2 songs for us. Enjoy.
Hello. We're going to begin with a song that's in Spanish, so I should say a couple of words about it, but keep it brief. It is by Oswaldo Escobar Velado, who was Salvadorian, and he was born in 1919, so there are references in this song to the Korean War. He was part of a group that was trying to bring land reform to Central America. The song itself, Regalo para el Niño, is a gift for a child, and the gift in this case is a world full of flowers, a world full of fruit, and a world without war. Te regalo una paz iluminada, un racimo de paz y de gorriones, una Holanda de meses aromadas, y California de melocotones, una Jacin Corea ensangrentada, una Corea en flor, otra en betones, un American fruto sazonada, y un mundo con azúcar de melones. Te regalo la paz, te regalo una paz. Te regalo la paz y su flor pura. Te regalo un clavel meditabundo para tu blanca mano de criatura. Y en tu sueño que tiemble estremecido, hoy te dejo la paz sobre tu mundo. De niño por la muerte sorprendido, hoy te dejo la paz sobre tu mundo. De niño por la muerte sorprendido, una Jacin Corea ensangrentada, una Corea en flor, otra en betones, un American fruto sazonada, y un mundo con azúcar de regalo la paz iluminada. Un racimo de paz y de colores, una Holanda de sus hermanos, y California de melocotones, una Jessin Corea ensangrentada, una Corea en flor o 3 petones, un American frutos hacendada y un mundo con azúcar de melones. Te regalo la paz iluminada.
This next song is about lessons we should have learned a long time ago and still haven't. It's called The Walls of Troy, and it was written by Terry Conway. The banner rides the winds of peace, the pilgrim takes the cold, to advertise and civilize and try to spread the code. But the cities fall to hatred's call, and the heroes swell the flood, to celebrate the nation state, to dip their hands in blood. And you hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy. When nations seek to find their friends, they first compare their foes. And if the list turns out the same, a sour alliance grows. The patriot must be revealed, he has no need to hide. But the man of peace is damned unless he's on the other side. And you hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy. And you'll hear them talk of natural law, population trends. They set the wise to rationalize, and they talk of means and ends. They say that man was made to hunt, it's all part of the game. Maybe they'll blame religion if they think it clears their name. And you hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy. And you hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy. Now all the world's a patchwork quilt, all nations must be free. The hate, the fear, it's all sincere, and it's all too much for me. Your freedom is the right of war, to plunder and to brag, to rape, to slay the child unborn, and all to show the flag. And you hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy. And you hear them come around again, hear the trumpets sound again, hear the drums resound again beneath the walls of Troy.
Thank you very much, Fraser Union. As always, a wonderful addition to this ceremony. My name is Teresa Gagné. I'm a co-founder of Vancouver Peace Poppies and the envisager and artistic director, I guess, of Let Peace Be There Memorial, the ceremony today. Can you hear me okay? If you're interested in learning more about the White Poppy and Vancouver Peace Poppies, there's a brief write-up in your program and more info on our website, peacepoppies.ca, so I won't bore you with that. We started with the modest idea of sharing the White Poppy's message more widely, and it's been more fulfilling than we ever imagined. In the 15 years since our first campaign, we've distributed over 50,000 white poppies to people from Gillies Bay, BC, to Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. We've held 6 previous ceremonies and shown people that there is room and demand for Remembrance Day activities which reflect the diversity of Canadian perspectives on war and remembrance, and which acknowledge the war experiences of many immigrant Canadians. We've largely managed to minimize any perceived conflict with the red poppy, and even got the City of Vancouver to officially sanction our outdoor ceremonies. But success also brings challenges. Last year's subsidized school campaign was so successful that we lost about $1,200. To continue, we need your ideas, your time, and your help. Together, we can make the White Poppy's message and ceremonies like this a regular part of Remembrance Day in Canada. I'm convinced that people everywhere are hungry for peace and that finding effective alternatives for war is possible. This slightly abridged version of Maya Angelou's beautiful poem, On the Pulse of Morning, reflects that message. A rock, a river, a tree, hosts to species long since departed, marked the mastodon. The dinosaur who left dry tokens of their sojourn here on our planet floor. Any broad alarm of their hastening doom is lost in the gloom and dust of ages. But today, the rock cries out to us, clearly, forcefully, "Come, you may stand upon my back and face your distant destiny, but seek no haven in my shadow. I will give you no hiding place down here. You, created only a little lower than angels, have crouched too long in the bruising darkness, have lain too long face down in ignorance, your mouths spelling words armed for slaughter. The rock cries out today, you may stand on me, but do not hide your face across the wall of the world. The river sings a beautiful song, come rest here by my side. Each of you a bordered country, delicate and strangely made proud, yet thrusting perpetually under siege, your armed struggles for profit have left collars of waste upon my shore, currents of debris upon my breast. Yet today I call you to my riverside, if you will study war no more. Come, clad in peace, and I will sing you the songs the Creator gave to me when I and the tree and the stone were one. Before cynicism was a bloody sear across your brow, and when you yet knew, you still knew nothing. The river sang and sings on. Today, the first and last of every tree speaks to humankind. Come to me, here beside the river. Here, root yourself beside me. I am the tree planted by the river, which will not be moved. I, the rock, I, the river, I, the tree. I am yours. Your passages have been paid. Lift up your faces. You have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, and if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking before you. Give birth again to the dream, women, children, men. Take it into the palms of your hands. Mold it into the shape of your most private need. Sculpt it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country, no less to Midas than to the mendicant, no less to you now than to the mastodon then. Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out, and into your sister's eye, and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning. Thank you. I'd now like to bring back Fraser Union to do the final song of their performance today.
This song was written by Jan Garrett, and she wrote it in the early 2000s when the headlines were screaming about the soldiers being killed in Afghanistan and when Iraq, when the US was not quite in Iraq yet, but also when there were fires raging in Colorado all around her home. So she wrote this song, I Dreamed of Rain, and also for peace spread over the land.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the garden flowers are blooming, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and the sound was easy and the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And the ancient pain is forgotten, and the father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land.
dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land.
What a lovely song, and thanks so much to Fraser Union for being a part of our ceremony again this year. Next up, we have another wonderful performing group, the Ree Sisters, and while they're getting up on the stage, I'm going to read one more short poem. This poem is by Khalid Juma. O rascal children of Gaza, O rascal children of Gaza, you who constantly disturbed me with your screams under my window, you who filled every morning with rush and chaos, you who broke my vase and stole the lonely flower on my balcony, come back and scream as you want and break all the vases, steal all the flowers, come back, just come back.
Thank you. That last song was just so beautiful. It was hard not to sing along. We're not supposed to, but anyway, we did. Our first song is called Peace Medley, and we're really delighted to have learned this from a young woman, Emily Elbert, who obviously was very inspired by the old songs. These are very old songs. You'll recognize every single one of them. But to see a young person take them up is really wonderful. So this is Peace Medley, number 2. 1, 2, 3.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow ones now will later be fast, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first ones now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing. Ooh, deep in my heart, I do someday.
Thank you very much, Reese Sisters. You'll be hearing more of them later in the program. But right now, I would like to welcome to the podium Nan Gregory, who will be the MC for the latter half of the program, particularly for the wreath-laying, which is going to be the next part of our ceremony today. Please welcome Nan.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming. It's lovely to see you here. We're now going to begin placing our universal wreaths. These handcrafted wreaths were custom designed to recognize often overlooked victims of war, those groups whose suffering recurs across conflicts, continents, and centuries. Our first wreath today was made by students at Henry Hudson Elementary to commemorate children killed, injured, or orphaned by war. The kids at this Vancouver school literally lent their hands to make the background circle of green handprints. It will be placed by Dr. Huguette Hayden. As a retired child and adolescent psychiatrist, she understands well the serious trauma war can cause in children and has committed herself to work tirelessly for nuclear disarmament and the prevention of all wars. She's an active member of the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, Canada, and the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. Thank you, Huguette. Watch your feet. The next wreath represents refugees fleeing conflict, the largest group of civilian war victims, and the one most in the news these days. According to the UNHCR, there are currently over 27 million refugees, around half of whom are under the age of 18. Canada is a world leader in the resettlement of refugees, mainly through our private sponsorship program. As a country, we gain from the skills and diversity refugees bring, but their homelands suffer a corresponding loss. This year, we are delighted to have Olga Stakova, the CEO of Mosaic, as our wreath layer. Mosaic is one of Canada's largest settlement services organizations and the largest private sponsorship agreement holder in Western Canada. Through its numerous and varied programs, Mosaic strengthens communities and families, helping immigrants and refugees settle and thrive in their new homes. Its staff and volunteers are deeply committed people, many with lived experience as refugees. Thank you, Olga. Our next wreath is for Indigenous victims of genocide and cultural destruction. From first contact to the present day, Indigenous peoples worldwide have been the targets of both overt and covert wars on their cultures and their existence. Our wreath of local red cedar is symbolically wound with invasive English ivy, a plant infamous for suppressing and killing native vegetation. On the attached leaves are some of the brutal tactics Indigenous peoples have faced and continue to face, not only here in Canada, but in many other countries. Population transfer, dispossession, reservations, sterilization, forced assimilation, religious prohibitions, rewritten histories, language bans, negative propaganda, Sexual and other abuse are just some of the weapons used in this brutal, ongoing war. Laying our wreath is Catherine Roback. Catherine lived in the Litwat Nation at Mount Currie for several years with her partner and child. She later worked at the Downtown Eastside Women's Center and instructed a training course, the Native Family Support Program, at the Indigenous Friendship Center. She continues in loving relationship with her Litwat family. Thank you, Catherine. The red and white poppy buds on this wreath symbolize the precarious position of child soldiers. While we may visualize small boys clutching guns, these days up to 40% of child soldiers are girls. Tens of thousands of children are estimated to be recruited and used by armed groups as fighters, informants, looters, messengers, spies, and domestic or sexual slaves. Neither civilian nor military, their childhoods are cut short, and even those who escape suffer lasting harm from the violence they've seen. Our wreath layer is Hanno Pinder, who, as you've heard, has a very personal connection to this issue. In 1940, at the age of 16, her brother was drafted and forced to fight in the German army. He perished in the winter siege of Stalingrad at barely 18 years old, sacrificed to the insanity of Hitler's deadly ambition. No trace of his body was ever found. Thank you, Hannah. This oil-soaked wreath represents the environmental devastation caused by war. The huge military bootprint is a major contributor to global warming, and one we should remember when discussing local pipeline, tanker, and defense spending issues. Unfortunately, most countries, including Canada, exclude emissions from armed forces in their COP27 targets. This is despite estimates that the military sector creates 6% of greenhouse gases globally and represented 59% of Canada's federal greenhouse gas emissions in 2019-20. Laying the wreath is environmental activist Elizabeth Dunn, a member of Vancouver Unitarians Environment Team. The UCV Environment Team has worked for many years to increase awareness on environmental issues, raise funds for environmental protection, and actively work for legislative protections through our elected MPs and MLAs. For example, to stop the expansion of the TMX pipeline and to remove toxic fish farms from BC's coastal waters. They recognize that tackling global environmental issues like war is as important as taking local action. Thank you, Elizabeth. And now the inimitable Jim Edmondson and Madeleine DeLittle sing From Way Up Here, a song which takes the advice to think globally quite literally. This haunting song by Pete Seeger and Malvina Reynolds was performed by Jim at the first Let Peace Be There Memorial ceremony in 2016. Like Jim and Madeleine, it has been an integral part of the ceremony ever since.
From way up here, the earth looks very small. It's just a little ball of rock and sea and sand, no bigger than my hand. From way up here, the earth looks small. They shouldn't fight at all down there upon that little sphere. Their time is short, a life is just a day. You think they'd find a way. You think they'd get along and fill their magic days with song. La 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 la. From way up here, the earth looks very small. It's just a little ball, so small, so beautiful and clear. Their time is short, a life is just a day. Must be a better way to use the time that runs among the distant suns. La 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 la. From way up here, the earth looks very small. It's just a little ball, so small, so beautiful and dear.
The medical aid wreath, you want to come on up here, Michael? Features shocking photos of bombed ambulances and poppies whose centers bear the emblems of the International Red Cross Network. Those emblems are supposed to guarantee protection and neutrality, but all too often they become targets instead. Helping civilians and treating the sick and injured in wars and conflict zones is difficult, stressful, and dangerous work. Yet nurses, doctors, paramedics, pharmacists, technicians, and aid workers give their time, their efforts, sometimes their lives, putting themselves in harm's way for the sake of others' well-being. To lay this wreath in their honor, we're pleased to have Dr. Michael O'Neill. Along with 45 years of experience as a local emergency physician, Michael has volunteered his services with Project Medishare in Haiti. Thank you, Michael. This wreath mourns the lost potential of an estimated 50 million children whose education is disrupted by war. Conflict threatens education in many ways. Children in war zones may be kept at home because parents fear for their safety, because their school was destroyed, or because their teachers were conscripted or killed. Those who flee to safety may not do much better. According to the UNHCR, 48% of refugee students remain out of school, whether due to lack of school facilities, missing records and transcripts, or because they must work to help to support their families. Some of the luckier students end up at our local schools and colleges, but others may spend their entire youth in refugee camps with no access to formal education. Our wreath layer is Skye Richards, educator and mother, a passionate believer in the rights of children to a safe and secure education. Thank you, Skye. The next wreath is dedicated to women and others raped and victimized in wartime. Its symbols recognized both their strength and their vulnerability. Rape is a crime as old and as terrible as war itself. And conflict zones, borders, and refugee camps can be especially dangerous for women and those who are marginalized because of their gender identity or sexuality. They may be assaulted, forcibly raped, or pressured to trade sexual services for food, shelter, safe passage, or other necessities for themselves and their families. Placing this wreath is Kiada Simons, a sexual assault counselor with WAVA, Rape Crisis Center, which provides support services to survivors of sexualized violence who have shared experiences of gender marginalization. Clients include cis and trans women, two-spirit, trans and/or non-binary people. Pursuing the vision of a future free from sexualized violence and oppression, WAVA advocates for social and systemic change through education, outreach, and activism. Thank you, Kiada. This wreath, with its beautiful but battered poppies, reflects the challenges faced by survivors and victims suffering from post-traumatic stress. Insomnia, flashbacks, and anxiety are normal and sometimes healthy responses to violence or trauma. But many survivors are left with severe, long-lasting symptoms and need ongoing treatment to help them cope. It can be hard, even here in Canada, to get the necessary help. And it's still harder for civilians living in refugee camps and war zones, or refugees fleeing from them. This year, we are pleased to have Sadiha Tamori, who works with the intake and research teams at VAST. VAST assists refugees and other newcomers who have endured torture, trauma, and political violence. Its clients have access to individual trauma counseling, 11 trauma-informed support groups, and psychological or medical legal documentation and advocacy. Thank you, Ciara. The next wreath recognizes the strength and commitment of those who have dared to resist war, as well as the persecution they often face. Whether motivated by religious faith, secular moral values, or a practical belief that war is wasteful and ineffective, we honor their efforts and their memory. Their example inspires hope that another world is possible, a world in which increasing numbers of people will have the courage to stand up and say, "No more war." This wreath is to be laid by Ruth Walmsley, a member of the Vancouver monthly meeting of the Religious Society of Friends, the Quakers. Throughout Quakerism's long history, its members have embraced pacifism and faced persecution for their conscientious objection to military service. For over 60 years, the Quaker UN office has worked to secure and strengthen recognition of the right to conscientious objection in international law, and to promote disarmament by highlighting how weapons and the defense industry lead to human rights violations and increase the likelihood of destructive conflict. Thank you, Ruth. Our final universal wreath is labeled for peace, because in addition to mourning what has been lost to war, we are also here to recognize the important work of anti-war activists and peace educators around the world. In honoring these valiant peace builders, past and present, we show our commitment to work for lasting peace and a better world for all. This hopeful wreath, with its colorful doves, will be placed by local writer and peace activist Barbara Waldron. A lifelong activist, Barb is involved with many groups, including the Canada-wide Peace and Justice Network. She is here today as a representative of the Just Peace Committee, Vancouver. Thank you, Barb. And following the laying of that final peaceful wreath, I'd like to welcome back the resistors for 2 more songs.
Our next song follows on the comments that Nan made about the number of refugees in the world, and the fact that an awful lot of our governments are elected on the basis of their "Let's let no refugees in," and it was written by Irish Mithin, the song, and you'll know the title when we read it. When we sing it.
Let them in, for they are weak. They are so weary from all that they have seen. Open your doors and treat them well. They have so much to share, so much to tell. Break your bread evenly, for these people, they are in need. And show your heart to be true. And please be honest now, that's the one thing you can do. This hateful talk, so strong it seems, it keeps them out and kills their dreams. You're what you do, not what you say. And yes, one person can make a difference each and every day. Open your minds and drop the gun. Who really cares now? Who's got the bigger one? Listen to a child who does not hate. Please let them grow up and choose their fate. So let them in, for they are weak. They are so weary, weary, weary from all they have seen. This hateful talk, so strong it seems, it keeps them out and kills their dreams. Open your doors and seat them well. They have so much to share. They have so much to share. They have so much to share. Maybe we do as well.
Do we have that one? Pardon? The last song that we're going to do is from one of the themes of Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He spoke about hope a lot, and this quote is, "Hope is being able to see the light despite all of the darkness." This was put into a song by Penny Stone, who's a UK singer-songwriter and one of our favorites at the moment. If I can just get the note.
despite all of the darkness.
1, 2, 3, 4. We keep on trying to see the light, despite all of the darkness. We keep on trying to see the light, despite all of the darkness. We keep on trying to see the light, despite all of the darkness. We keep on trying to see the light, despite all of the darkness, because hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. We keep on trying to see the light despite all of the darkness. We keep on trying to see the light despite all of the darkness, because hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. We keep on trying to see the light.
In 1986, a small group of human rights activists and mental health workers gathered in Vancouver to support the flood of refugees arriving from the armed conflicts in Central America. They founded the Vancouver Association for Survivors of Torture, VAST, and went on to build what has become BC's largest center for refugee mental health. Today, VAST works with refugees from over 100 countries in Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. Its programs and services are offered over a dozen languages, and all of them are free. Founded on the conviction that healing is an act of resistance, for 35 years, VAST has employed a province-leading model of trauma-informed practice in an open, non-violent space. It supports newcomer survivors, those afflicted by trauma resulting from torture, political violence, and other forms of persecution based on race, religion, gender identity, and sexual orientation. The result has been the creation and sustainment of a resilient, inclusive community amongst newcomers. We're delighted to have as our keynote speaker today Frank Cohn, Executive Director of VAST. Frank has been VAST's Executive Director for the past 6 years. Prior to that, his career included leadership capacity building work with youth in rural villages and urban neighborhoods in 22 countries in Latin America and Asia. Frank has BAs in literature and philosophy from UBC and a Master's of Science in Social Work from Columbia University. He has been a lecturer in social work and public affairs at many universities and colleges, and served as a consultant and advisor for nonprofit organizations locally and abroad. Let's give a warm welcome to Frank Cohn.
Thank you for having me here. I apologize for the excessively warm welcome from my child there. Hopefully she won't continue. I myself, I'm not a survivor of war. I want to be very clear about that. And I am here in a capacity sharing with you because I have the honor and the privilege to work closely together with an incredible team of people who have very intimate, unfortunately, knowledge of war, of genocide, of torture, and the many types of violence and trauma that are continuously being perpetrated against people around the world. My grandparents were survivors, but I was born in the suburbs of Vancouver and Burnaby, and that was my life. I had the opportunity to be able to travel a lot and work in a lot of different places with a lot of different cultures, get to know a lot of different languages, and through that process start to understand a little bit more, as I think a lot of people in this room do, about some of the horrors and challenges. At VAST, as you mentioned, we identify that healing happens in community. Healing is not just a process of going and seeking therapeutic support in an isolated environment on your own. It's being with peers, it's being with fellow individuals in solidarity and in understanding and in support. We also understand, as you mentioned, that healing is an act of resistance. And this does not mean armed resistance. This means recognizing that violence and torture happen in cycles, and that we get caught up as societies in responding to violences and in endless cycles of repetition. And in order to address that, and in order to not be silent, we must provide the spaces necessary in order for people to recover, to heal, to rehabilitate. Not only must we do that ethically and morally, but here in Canada, along with most of the rest of the countries in the world, we have a legal obligation to do that. That legal obligation falls under a series of international humanitarian legal instruments, including the United Nations Conventions Against Torture, which Canada has been a signatory of since 1987. A lot of numbers floating around in my head. As a signatory of the UN Convention Against Torture, we commit not only to speaking out against that type of violence when and where it happens, recognizing when and where it occurs in situations of war and in situations of civilian institutions, whether it's the education system, the healthcare system, or other systems that people navigate through, police, where they're supposed to be protected by that institution, but in fact they're persecuted by that institution because of some aspect of their identity. We have a responsibility as Canadians, as a country, but also as citizens, to provide those spaces for rehabilitation. That's a specific article in the convention. We're also, of course, party to the Declaration on Human Rights, the Refugee Convention, and many other specific legal instruments that tell us, we don't need to wonder what we need to do, they tell us what we need to do. And of course, whether an international instrument is followed locally depends entirely on us as citizens calling our governments to account, voting with our feet, and in that beautiful song, calling our governments to not make decisions and run platforms that are reactionary and that exclude, without, of course, realizing that, in fact, we need the very people and their ideas and their vision and their beauty that they bring into our country, and we're lucky to have them joining us. In addition to some of these international legal instruments, there's a series of non-governmental organizations who do this work and who engage collectively. The International Rehabilitation Council for Victims of Torture is one of those organizations. VAST is one of the members. There's two others in Canada, the Canadian Centre for Victims of Torture in Toronto, and then in Montreal, the Réseau d'Information pour Victimes d'Oppression Organisée. These are the only three official members of the IRCT in Canada, and yet there's many other organizations who engage in programs and services and follow the best practices of what are called the global rehabilitation standards. We know that war is a time when rights are easily ignored, when people's human rights are trampled over, when all of the injustices that we were talking about with each of these wreaths are effectuated, and we know that this happens very often with impunity. We also know some other things about this type of violence. We know that it's almost always done by men, and that's one of the things that we don't talk enough about. We know that it's also always done by dominant ethnic groups, groups that seek to maintain their superiority or their power or their legacy within the confines of the government that they're operating within. We know that that is true not only internationally, but also here. When we look at the history of the people whose lands we are on, we know that we have decimated their lives, traditions, institutions, and families. And we know that we've done that in large part because of a sense of cultural dominance. We know that that continues to take place in many places around the world. We know that in the elections in the US right now, that's one of the major themes that's coming up, is how is this country going to reconcile with the violence that has been done in order to create the power structures that currently govern, and the corporate and public that currently govern the nation. We know that in many countries around the world, in Afghanistan, the plight of the Hazara people and many other ethnic minorities who are currently facing genocidal violence against them in schools, in health contexts, and in all of the places where they should be receiving the protection of the governments whose nation they are in. And when people don't have those protections, they are often forced to flee. VAST has been accompanying many of these populations as they fled throughout our history, and the successive migrations, all forced, that we work with. These are the very individuals who inform the work that we do, and who also need to inform the policies that we as a country and the values and morals that we as a society hold. And these people are here within our midst. They are not so far away that we cannot engage with them and connect with them. And in a world where there is so much misinformation, where there is so many opportunities, I'm not, well, I was going to refer to fake news without referring to fake news, but where there's so much fake news out there, we need to rely on the stories of the individuals who we can connect with, on the relationships that we can build with and among different communities in order to seek our truth, in order to understand what it is that we need to struggle and fight for. It is the voices of those survivors who are in our midst increasingly because of Canada's commitments to allow refugee populations to enter, to allow non-refugee populations like survivors of the Russian war in Ukraine, to enter, and setting up programs, services like those of Mosaic, who does wonderful work with communities. It is those survivors who are increasingly becoming a part of the fabric of our society here, and who are teaching, supporting, and guiding us in understanding what role and responsibility we have to play from the comforts of our peaceful and quiet corner of the world. The topic of discussion, rights and resiliencies of survivors, by acknowledging and recognizing the rights, we know that we put the systems in place where the resiliency can thrive. And when the resiliency can thrive, we put in place the systems to better educate and inform ourselves and guide our behavior as individuals, as groups, organizations, and as a country. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank. That was very inspiring. Now Jim and Madeleine will return with their unique take on a couple of familiar songs.
Yeah, this song really follows nicely on your, I want to get to know you. Based on an old song that almost everybody here will know, but it's the pronoun has changed from he to we. This is a we song. This is about we are universal soldiers, potentially and for real, and the whole rehabilitation concept you know, as civilians, potentially, what do you call them? Potentially people who suffered through wars. We need to rehabilitate our view of the world to make sure that this stuff doesn't continue. So
this is Universal Soldier, and Jim did adapt it to We Are All Party to this.
we have a chorus, which is super easy.
We're 5'2", we're 6'4". We fight with missiles and with spears. We're all of 61 and we're only 17. Been soldiers for 1,000 years. We're Catholics, we're Hindus, we're atheists, we're Jains. We're Buddhists, we're Muslims, and we're Jews. We know we shouldn't kill, and we know we always will. Kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time that we loved. And it's time, time, time. We're fighting for Canada, we're fighting for Iran, we're fighting for the USA. We're fighting for Hezbollah and Israel, and we think we'll put an end to war this way. We're fighting for democracy, we're fighting for the cause. We say it's for the good of all. We're the ones who must decide who's to live and who's to die, and we don't see the writing on the wall. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time that we loved. And it's time, time, time. 'Cause without us, Howard and Hitler have condemned those at Dachau. Without us, Caesar we're still alone. We're the ones who give our bodies as weapons of the war. And without us, all this killing can't go on. We're universal soldiers on both sides now. Our orders come from far away no more. They come from us, you and me, and friends, can't you see? This is not the way we put an end to war. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time. And it's time, time, time that we loved. And it's time, time, time.
That was beautiful. Thank you so very much. Now we'll have Cecilia Gruber of the Unitarian Social Justice Committee. She'll come up next with 2 poetic reflections on war and peace.
Hello. These 2 poems that I'm going to read are very different, and they date from almost 100 years apart. The first looks at war, the second at peace, each with the singular eye of a poet. Both poets are British, but are from quite diverse backgrounds. The Anglo-Indian author of the first poem, Amy Byng Hall, was born into a life of wealth and privilege, in Muri, India in 1868. Her father, husband, and 2 brothers were career officers in the British Army. Her poem, July 1st, 1916, offers us a different pairing of poppies and war. A soft gray mist, poppies flamed brilliant where the woodlands bend, or straggling in amongst the ripening corn, green grass dew-kissed, while distantly a lark's pure notes ascend, greeting the morn. A shuddering night, flames, not poppies, cleave the quivering air. The corn is raised, the twisted trees are dead. War in his might has passed, nature lies prostrate there, stunned by his tread. The next poem is from a hard childhood in England, including a failed adoption, abusive fostering situations, and a quest for his own Ethiopian roots. British poet Lem Cisse has gained national and international renown for his work. This poem, Let There Be Peace, is permanently displayed on the side of the Creative Arts Building of the University of Huddersfield. Let there be peace, so frowns fly away like albatross, and skeletons foxtrot from cupboards. So war correspondents become travel show presenters, and magpies bring back lost property, children, engagement rings, broken things. Let there be peace, so storms can go out to sea to be angry and return to me calm, so the broken can rise up and dance in the hospitals. Let the aged Ethiopian man in the gray block of flats peer through his window and see Addis before him, so his thrilled outstretched arms become frames for his dreams. Let there be peace. Let tears evaporate to form clouds, cleanse themselves and fall into reservoirs of drinking water. Let harsh memories burst into fireworks that melt in the dark pupils of a child's eyes and disappear like shoals of silver darting fish, and let the waves reach the shore with a shh, shh, shh.
Thank you, Cecilia. And now, once again, here's UCV's beloved own Reverend Laura Cowton with some closing remarks.
Let there be peace. Such a simple thing to say. You know, it's an honor for the Vancouver Unitarians to partner with the White Poppies and to host this meaningful ceremony. And it's been a privilege to be part of this ceremony for the last 3 years. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. As we host these ceremonies, we are reminded of the very human cost of conflict, and that we, the people, have the power to create peace. In the words of Margaret Mead, indeed, that's the only way it's ever happened. I'd like to thank Teresa Gagné for her tireless dedication to this work. Thank you. And our keynote speaker for those inspiring words and little voices at the back, also inspiring. Thank you. It's Frank Cohn from VAST, and I appreciate learning about VAST I didn't know. Now I know. Yeah, good work. I'd like to thank our volunteer wreath layers and our wonderful readers and musicians and all the members of the Vancouver Unitarian Social Justice Committee for all the work that you do. Oh my goodness, you folks are busy. Yeah. And just a quick shout out to our refugee team. Amazing, amazing work there too. There are many volunteers who helped to make today happen. There's the tech crew, there's Christian up there, and Marcus and Derek and all the wonderful people who do all the wonderful work around here. Teresa has asked that the volunteers for today, especially the wreath layers and the readers, if you could hang out for a few minutes after the service. She's got a few words for you. A special thanks also to Yvonne Marcus and to Derek O'Keefe for coordinating things at the Vancouver Unitarians, and I know that Derek is in his office managing all of you folks online. And thank you for being here with us virtually. I really appreciate your presence. And for all of you here who've taken the time to join us in person. Good to have you here. Listening with your open hearts, and learning and sharing your stories and preparing to take this message of peace out into the world with you in your actions. Next year's ceremony relies on volunteer help and donations. So if you'd like to be involved, there is a sign-up sheet on the table on your way out, and there are also tins there that would be welcome for your donations. And Teresa, I'm sure, would be flagging you down if you wanted to talk to her. And we can also let our governments know and our leaders know there's other ways to be involved. You want them to invest in peace building instead of war making. This is something we can do. A short closing reading for you, adapted from words of Barbara Peskin. Spirit of life, whom we have called by many names, thanksgiving and in anguish. Bless the poets and bless those who mourn. Send peace for those who did not make the wars, but whose lives were consumed by them. Let strong trees grow above graves far from home. Breathe through the arms of their branches. The earth will swallow your tears while the dead sing, "No more, never again. Remember me." For the wounded ones and those who received them back, let there be someone ready when the memories come, when the scars pull and the buried metal moves. And let there be forgiveness for those of us who were not there, for our ignorance, for our indifference. And in us, all veterans in a forest of 1,000 fallen promises, let new leaves of protest grow from our stumps. Give us courage to answer the cry of humanity's pain. And with our bare hands and out of our full hearts, with all of our intelligence and all of our power. Let us create peace. We invite Jim and Madeleine for a final song, a song for peace. It's by the tune Finlandia, and it'll be a song that is familiar to many, and the words are printed in the back of your order of service. And you're invited to sing along. And afterwards, you are also invited to come and view these wreaths, which, no, don't leave. You have to sing. These wreaths will be here on display for a little while after the service today, and then they're going to be outside for the weekend for anyone who's coming to the campus or just walking around to appreciate and enjoy beautiful works of art. Thank you. Thank you all. Yes, yes, please rise and sing.
This is a song for people of all nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. Here is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as fine and true as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. So here's my song for people of all nations, a song of peace for your land and for mine.
He wants to do it again. Okay, all right.
One more time.
This is a song for people of all nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. Here is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as fine and true as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. So here's my song for people all